Alright, freaks. Today we're going to talk about the Golden Goose experiment made by Johann Joachim Becher. He's German, so I don't know why I did a French accent to read his name. But to do that, to talk about this experiment, we need to understand the background. He was an alchemist, so let's talk about what alchemy is. It's like a mix between philosophy and science, basically. And some little magic in the middle sprinkled in it. So it died. It's not as famous as it was right now because we have normal science. But it was basically alchemists were maniac chemists. I'm being rude. It's more like less educated chemists because they know less. So they just guess things. But their goal was spiritual enlightenment and money, basically. Like discovering the Philosopher's Stone, which is a substance that apparently gives people immortality and the ability to turn most metals into gold, which is very weird. Because, now I think being immortal is way, 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 way harder than turning things into gold if we're talking about magic stuff, which is kind of, I would take the immortality part. You can keep the gold one. But so they, unfortunately, they didn't find the Philosopher's Stone, so they become immortal, according to what we know at least. Let's not discredit it. But they kind of made what science is right now, especially chemistry. So alchemy had 4 principles. Well, had more than that, but these are the ones that I wrote. So I'm going to read them to you and you're going to listen. It was transforming metals, transmutation of metals. They believed that all matter can be transformed into what you want, basically. You can make, for example, lead into gold. You can make, basically what they thought was metals were imperfect forms of gold. All metals are gold, but they're imperfect, so it becomes something else. And they believed that with the right substance or process or concoction or chemical reaction, it would change it to its perfect state, gold. But they, at the end of the all this, they found out, quote quote, found out that the Philosopher's Stone would achieve this. So basically, what this is that we can do it with what we found. So we're gonna say that this stone that nobody has seen or ever knows of its existence will do it. So basically, that was the idea. Is like, yeah, this stone can do things that are not normal. The second principle is the 4 elements and 3 principles. So basically, alchemy was like, for example, Avatar. It's like they had 4 elements: earth, water, air, and fire. And they believed that they took it from Greek ideology, ancient Greek ideology. For example, from Aristotle, they were like, everything on this place, I'm not sure if it's Earth or the whole universe, but basically everything was made from these 4 elements. Even in some cultures, people say that humans themselves were made from like earth and water or something similar to that. And the 3 principles is sulfur, which means combustion; mercury, which means fluidity because it moves. It's like a liquid metal. And salt, which is apparently for solidity. Not sure how salt corresponds to that, but these are the 3 principles that they were like, okay, these 3 things are what makes ma- all matter, for example, or there are at least important components of matter. Without them, you would not have any matter. And by changing the amount of each one, you can make a substance into another. For example, circle back to lead into gold, for example. So they said that if you change one of these three things, it will change to gold, as long as you find the right proportions to use. The third one was macrocosm and microcosm. Micro and macro, by the way. I didn't say that very clearly. Alchemists were like, there is a correspondence between the universe and humans, or the human world, Earth. And they basically believed that the way the universe works applied to human body or materials. They believed that if you find a material or a substance or a medicine that can purify a metal, it can work on you, humans, souls. And that brings us to the fourth one, spiritual and physical purification. It wasn't about, alchemy wasn't really about, changing metals into gold, really, or like changing matter into something else. It was more like, there was two groups. One of them was like, we want to reach spiritual enlightenment, like Buddhism, and the others were like, we want to make money. So at the end of the day, both of them kind of did the same thing, just different goals. They just wanted to reach the truth. They want to know things, at least the enlightenment people. And now that brings us to our main guy, Johann. So he was born in 1635. He was German, a German alchemist. He's known for his like weird ass ideas and methods. And he was a part of I believe, the economic alchemists that wanted money, which is, reasonable. So, what did this guy do other than the Golden Goose experiment? He was actually known for the idea or theory of phlogiston, which is basically, he believed that there is a substance or something in the substances, like for example wood. He thought there was something called phlogiston in it, and it was invisible and had no mass, which contradicts a lot of scientific theories right now. But he basically was like, there is something in the wood, for example, in the wood, in a wooden block that is invisible and doesn't really, you can't know it exists, basically, because it has no mass. And when you burn that thing, the wood block, when you burn it, it would release the phlogiston into the air, and what's left is the wood without the phlogiston. That's basically his idea about burning things. But it was disproven later on when we found out that oxygen exists. And that oxygen is why combustion works, or something that way. Not sure which discovery allowed us to know that, but it was something related to oxygen. Okay, so now let's go to the meat and bones of the golden goose idea. So he thought, if you feed a goose a special concoction, a potion, that it's either eggs or poop would become gold. That was his idea, like transmutation, changing not metals in this case, but just either the poop or the eggs into gold. That was his idea. And he believed that the metabolism of animals could work as like laboratories which can mix the potion or concoction with the poop or the eggs, and it would give us gold somehow. And it's it's kind of funny because like, why choose a goose? Like basically, I really think he was just walking down a river or a park. Did they have park in 1600s? I think they had parks, right? But just walking down the park and seeing a goose and being like, hey, I'm a big alchemist. And I think that goose would work for what I'm gonna do. It's oddly specific, I feel like. But clearly it failed because we don't have geese giving us gold right now. Else the worth of gold would be literally less than silver. So it failed, sadly. I thought it would be very funny if that worked. But he kinda helped with a lot of things. For example, the phlogiston theory that I talked about. That helped a lot with like combustion. And he also helped with like mining techniques, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad for the earth, because that is bad for the earth. But basically he helped with mining techniques and creating new pigments and metallurgy, like advancing in metallurgy. Metallurgy. Oh my god, I can't speak. Basically, he was a big help to alchemy or chemistry in general. So yeah, he made a lot of failures at the end of the day, but it still affected a lot of things we currently have. It's always interesting to see stuff like that, because it's like, if they didn't go through all the weird things, you would know what's normal and what's not. For example, it's like when you're a kid and nobody tells you that the fire is hot. You don't think it's hot unless you touch it and you hurt, and then like, oh, that hurts. That means something. That was similar to what we have, because then they didn't know. They didn't have much knowledge, or as much knowledge as we do right now, which means they do stupider things relative to what we know. But yeah, I loved that experiment. It was so random to me, and I found it kind of funny because it's like, just why? Like, why a goose? Like, what makes you choose a goose? It's just so funny to me. But yeah, I'm gonna find something else to talk about. Hopefully, it's gonna be as fun as this one, because this was pretty cool. All right, see ya, freaks. Bye.